Yo, what up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of Bank Black and Nerd Culture, the show where we talk about superhero, comic book, sci-fi, pop culture, things all given to you from the black perspective that you love so much, man. Coming to you, I'm your boy Tricky, greatest stand-up comic in the great city of Houston, Texas. I'm joined with my boy KC, bringing you that super nerd logic, man, that super fandom. What's going on, brother? How you doing this morning?
Man, I'm good. How about you?
Man, I can't complain. You the one out there dealing with the police.
Yeah, yeah. But it's not that bad today. Luckily, for those of you who don't know, right before this recording, I got pulled over. It was my fault. I did a illegal stop and turn. Did not see the cop around me. I was actually listening to something on YouTube, as we all do, and
We don't
got
all do
caught up. Uh,
that.
you listen to somebody other than yourself, because if you don't listen to somebody, you're just going to hear the voices in your head. I know they're there. But anyway, uh, got pulled over, but I'm not the only person that does this stop an illegal turn around my neighborhood. There's most people who do this. People do it all the time. So
Yeah.
in the midst of me being pulled over, uh, three three to four of the cars do the same thing. And at one point, the cop gets out the car and tries to tell somebody to pull over. Like, he doesn't flash his light. He just points. He gets out the car, does a mean mug face, and points for them to pull over next
Like,
to
hey,
me.
hey, wait for me right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah. You better do it. You better stop and
Oh
get this
man,
ticket. So
man, you
they
just,
don't.
of
They don't
course they
stop.
didn't. Yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
You would have to
So
use the force to get them to pull over.
exactly. So he comes back, and I guess he was like, "Well, shoot, man, you saw like four or five other cars pass by. I'm gonna let you off with a warning." And I took that warning, and I called my wife. I thanked her for her prayers, and kept on moving.
Nice, nice. And you lucky they didn't
Yeah,
find the cocaine that you had in the back.
I know, man.
It's always a good thing.
I know, I know. I'm trying to be like Ghost out here, man. Do legitimate business and side hustle, but whew, luckily,
I know that's a Power reference. I haven't watched
yeah.
Power.
Oh, okay.
So I'm
You can get on
unfamiliar.
that.
Yeah, it's
You can
too
get
late
on that
now,
one.
right? It's over.
Uh You just for the pop culture references, but you're doing all right without it. You'll
Oh
be
yeah,
okay. You'll survive.
I think I will live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ain't talking about Power today, man. We are talking about Mandalorian season 3. Ain't that right?
Yeah, man.
Mando
Yeah.
season 3, bruh.
Well,
Uh,
feels like
today's
3.5 because of Boba Fett, though.
Yeah, we can get into all of that, man. Today's gonna be a little bit of a shorter episode, thankfully, uh, because we are talking about Mandalorian season 3, which I guess you could tell by my tone, I was not the biggest fan of, but shoot, I don't want to take nothing away. Look, I want to get your perspective, bro. As we start every episode out with, I just want to ask you a simple question: did you like it?
Yeah, man. I wasn't. I think I was. Here's what the comparison is. I was so disappointed with Boba Fett that anything that comes after Boba Fett is a win to me. So I enjoyed it. There's some nitpicks here and there, some parts in some episodes I just kind of skipped over, but overall I was okay with it. I liked the overall story, and I like where we're at, and I'm optimistic about the future of it.
Hmm.
What about you, man?
Yeah, no, 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 no. No, I have a lot. I have a lot of nitpicks, man. You say you skipped over a lot of stuff. I mentally tuned out of a lot of stuff, and it's sad because you
Yeah,
know, um, I liked the other two seasons of Mandalorian, man. I thought that it was cool. I thought it was good. Nice little switch up. Um, like kind of side characters from the overarching theme of Star Wars that I could really tune into and appreciate and like. But this season, it seemed like they were like, all right, you know what, we're gonna lean in and we're gonna try to make this mesh, and world build out of this thing. You mentioned Boba Fett. They squeezed in Boba Fett, and it seemed like they tried to create, this story of how it bleeds into the creation of, rebuilding the empire, the first order, and all of that. And it's like I liked it when it was just Mando doing his thing, you know what I'm saying? uh so I don't know. It's just I got a couple of little nitpicks, man. I don't want to spoil anything too much, because at the beginning of the episodes is when we kind of let people know kind of our thoughts and if they should invest the time to get into watching the show or the movie, anything that we watching, man. So uh we could definitely dive a little bit more into the nitpicks, man. But yo, this is Star Wars has historically always kind of been more or less like your thing. Like,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
pulled me into Marvel, which I'm definitely appreciated for, man, because now I'm a super fan. But Star Wars is still a little bit like, this is when we definitely gonna have to lean on your geek, your your origin story, you know what I'm saying, stuff like that, and really, anything that I mentioned, you'll be the source of from the source material of all things, how we do, bruh.
I'll do my best. Man, the lore of Star Wars is deep, man. So
It's deep.
it's deep. It runs deep, my friend.
Yes,
So
sir. Yes, sir, man. But nah, that's cool, man. It's cool. I mean, that you enjoyed it. I like the we can't always agree on these things. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah.
I think it's better when we disagree. I think this shit sucked. And I was very disappointed with season 3. Uh
Okay.
yeah, you just want to get into it, bro. I mean, at this point, look, if
Yeah, man.
anybody, if you listening, we're gonna get into some spoilers. So if you haven't
Yeah.
watched Mandalorian season 3, if you haven't put yourself through this anguish, and you still maybe want to, just to hear us talk about it, go ahead and pause it, check it out, come back, and listen to us really break this thing down. But um, yeah, Mandalorian season 3, bro. What the hell?
Okay. Well, I know you are a story man. I know that the story is like the biggest thing for you. Is that is what threw you off, or was it just like
Yeah, because the story
little
was bad.
inconsistencies? All right. So what was the thing that you're like, okay, I'm tapping out. Like at this point, I realize this ain't this ain't gonna do what I think it's gonna do.
Okay, well, first off, you know, the beginning of the season, Mando was all caught up in redeeming himself. Going and
Okay.
and to the living waters, on the planet and everything like that. Uh,
Uh
Bo-Katan is telling them, you have to purify yourself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka. She turned
Minnetonka.
she turned into Prince and shit. And and he's so wrapped up in it. And my thing was, bruh, why? What's going on? Like, why? I get it. He so honorable. He wants to make sure that he's doing everything right, living by the code, by their creed and everything. But it just kind of, it was a little annoying to me, bro. It was like on that deep, honorable shit like Jon Snow. I remember watching Game of Thrones being so
Yeah, yeah.
frustrated with Jon Snow. It's like, come on, man. Like, some things you could just let go and just live, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it seemed like he got so caught up in like banging his
Okay.
aunt. You know what I'm saying?
All
I'm like,
right.
it's hot. Just do
All
it.
right.
At least it wouldn't have burnt down the whole freaking world if maybe Jon Snow would have been a little less caught up in being so damn honorable, like the Ned Stark and shit. Just live.
I mean, you know, that's I think that's important for characters to have, man. That's their distinct uh characteristic because not everybody can go against the grain. Some people have to stick with what they are, and the majority of us are stubborn. So so you have to relate in some ways of the stubbornness. In some ways, you have to relate in fighting against or trying to convince somebody against their stubbornness. The other thing is, as far as the Mandalorian, I think a lot of times we look at it as a perspective of an American, in a sense of there's so many things you can change or accept or convert to. In fact, if you don't convert, people get annoyed. Like, why don't you just let it go? Just why, be a little bit more loose with those things. Versus in other countries or other religions or other practices, letting go of that is part of their entire identity. So I like the fact that he is so bent on showing his commitment to his clan, to his religion. He knows no other way.
This is
And
the
he's
way.
continued. Exactly. No pun intended. But
You said it.
that's the pun. But
Yeah,
but
that's the whole point.
but yeah. But the other thing is, we all know that there's been some issues with Pedro Pascal and filming and how he feels about the whole setup of things and not really being there because he's working on
That nigga
I'm
didn't even
sure you
want to be
feel
in it.
right. But he's in a better show and all these other things. And we knew they'd like, hey, we're have to write in some reason why they don't see his face for this season. And we are going to double down on the fact that he's a Mandalorian that does not want to remove his helmet. The helmet is not practical to me. I don't understand it. It's just it's not a good setup, but I do.
It
Uh,
creates a lot of goofiness. It creates
it, it,
an extreme amount of goofiness. For one thing, yeah, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's Pedro's season right now. Pedro's hot. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
He's a
yeah.
hot guy on the market. Like, you want this guy in your projects, but for this particular project, it's like, dude, for you to like put up on the
Ghosted.
screen that Pedro Pascal is a part of this project, and he's not in the suit. You know what I'm saying? It's not him walking around in the suit. And look, I'm gonna be honest with you. People might call this blasphemous to me, but he's a great actor. But is his voice? Is he really doing an extreme amount of voice work for this? I feel like I could do this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, kid. Like, what does
Well,
he has like? It seems like he has 4
all
lines
right,
every episode. You know what I'm
all right.
saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but it's also Star Wars, and they're built off of a voice. Like, the most iconic thing about Star Wars is Darth Vader breathing in his voice. And do you think James Earl Jones is?
Do not compare the great James Earl
I,
Jones to Pedro
I'm,
Pascal
I'm
with
not,
voice work.
I'm not saying, I'm not comparing them for voice work. I'm comparing the amount of work they've had to do for that character. I mean, it's synonymous with James Earl Jones' work, and
Can't believe
he
you
did
even
not.
brought up his name. Why did you say that name?
Hey man, I'm just giving you my perspective on it. That's all. But it's same people can say the same thing. James Earl Jones is synonymous with Darth Vader, who has some iconic lines,
But
but he never wore the suit. Do we even know
that's
he was on
fine.
set?
I don't
Okay,
care. But
all right,
if you take that voice away from Darth Vader, it's completely different. You take the voice away from Mando and replace it with, like I said, with me, with anybody that just has a deep voice, a man voice. It's not changing the story. You know what I'm saying? It's not like, oh my god, like this sounds vastly different. I can't rock with this. You know what I'm saying? It's just mid. You know, and like I say, not to take anything away from Pedro. I think Pedro's great, but just the voice acting isn't enough for me to be like, damn, Pedro killed it in this, man. Without him, this whole season falls apart. This shit all it still fell apart, even with his
okay,
even with his voice.
all
I
right,
needed I needed Pedro himself to be there. They need to
all right.
reschedule it. You know what I'm saying? Be like, all right, look, let's get rid of the goofy storyline of you being so caught up in the creed. Because eventually towards the middle of the season, or towards the end of the season, I'm sorry, Bo-Katan is tasked with bringing all of the Mandalorians together, from the
Yeah.
armor, and
Well,
it's kind of like that's cool. I get it, because some of them are like super religious with it and sticking with the original creed and stuff, and keeping on the helmet, which seems like that's really the only thing. The big thing is just keeping the damn helmet on. Some of them feel like they should keep the helmet on, some of them don't. The niggas can't even eat, and they try to fill that in at the end of the season, talking about, how do we eat? It's like, well, yeah, we when we eat, we just got to scatter apart and eat by ourselves. It's like, how fucking goofy is that? They try to make sense of it. It's weird, and one dude's like, oh, well, yeah, since you're the leader, you get to stay by the fire. You know what could solve this? You just take the damn helmet off. Take the who. It
look, man.
seems like it doesn't matter at this point. I mean, okay.
Look, the same thing. I look at what they're trying to do to be more inclusive to different people, religions, backgrounds. Disney is trying to expand, man, and you got to look at it that way. You got to look at it as just, uh, you know, clan, religion, however you want to. That's kind of how I intake it or grasp it from my perspective.
Last time
Some
I
things
checked,
that happen.
Mandalorian wasn't a real
Look,
religion.
look. Yeah, I get that, but there are just weird things that people do within their commitments, man. I know for me as a Catholic, we were there. There were some people will tell you, do whenever you take communion, do not bite the bread. Like you basically kind of make it soft. Don't bite into it. Now
What you
it's
supposed to do?
bread. You soften it up with your tongue, and then you break it apart, and you swallow from there.
Mm.
But you don't use your teeth. But that's your
That's
main
a
thing
that's a rule. That's
to
a rule in
eating.
my bedroom too. Don't
Baby,
use your
baby, baby,
teeth.
baby, teeth, teeth, teeth.
No teeth. My bad. I didn't mean. I didn't mean to go there while you talking about religion.
Now, now that's just for me. I don't know how other people have, do communion. That's up to them. I don't sit there and say use your teeth. That's wrong, or you did use your teeth and that's the right way. Once again, that only applies to the bedroom. But
Yeah.
for for that aspect, it's just a preference of just how that's kind of how I'm looking at it, man. Like, you might be like, man, it's ridiculous, it's bad, but there are people in other countries that are, you know, part of their religion is wearing garments throughout the day. Even though it's hot or cold or whatever it consists of, they're still committed to wearing that garment.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm not.
So,
I'm not. I won't harp on it too long.
yeah,
I got you. I think ultimately though is what you said. They. I don't think it's Disney so much trying to be inclusive of other religions and their
right,
idiosyncrasies
right,
and what they do. It's
right.
a Pedro problem that they had, and they really trying to work around
Not,
that. And in my opinion, it
yeah,
didn't work.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
other seasons when he's been available, he's been pops the helmet off, man. And like I say, it's Pedro season. We need Pedro. I would have loved to have seen him just, for one thing, look, I miss Cara Dune this season. I'll be honest with you. I'm a man and I like her, and I wish she was there. Uh and it was me, you know, I get caught up in the story, you know what I'm saying? I don't like to break
right,
the fourth wall and think like, oh man, what did she do to get excluded from this season? What is Pedro doing to where he's not there to film? I'm locked in the story. I think Baby Yoda is
right.
real. Okay. Grogu
Yeah,
is a real thing that I want to
yeah,
hold and I want to squeeze. I'm
yeah,
not thinking about the fact that this is a little robot and these people are doing an incredible job of interacting with nothingness, basically.
yeah.
But man, if it was me, this season would have. I mean, the story would have ended once he got on that. What was that, season one or season two, when he was on that planet in the village with that beautiful woman, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Cara Dune was like, why don't you stay here with the widow, raise your kid? I would have been like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Let me take this helmet off and let me settle down.
This, yeah, yeah. What? to kind of harp on what you said before you got on him going to the first this first lady should have chose, but uh yeah, I do believe it was Pedro's season, man. I think Pedro had some grief about wearing the mask. I think they wrote this season to kind of have a reason for him not to have the helmet, and then whenever they saw that he's not coming back, they had to like double down on not use on him using the helmet. So yeah, but before we get tied down to this, were there any other gripes that you had?
Oh
I mean,
yes.
I know there's a bunch of them, but that being your major one, as far as like wanting more Pedro, the mask thing is a bogus excuse, just kind of adding in goofy retcon, stuff in there.
Yeah,
What other thing was like your next thing that you were like, yeah,
bro.
this ain't working for me?
So look, the first two seasons of Mandalorian, bro, I mean, dude, Dan's he's a badass. This season, it seemed like he's just getting his ass kicked a lot. People are having to save him. Bo-Katan is saving him. Uh, and it just seemed like he was unmotivated after he redeemed himself in the waters. It's like, what are you doing? It just seems like he's a hoe, just kind of hopping around, just like, oh, y'all want me to do this? All right, cool. It's like, what is your real motivation? I didn't see it from him. I think of him as a leader, but he's just kind of following around, bro, for this season. So I didn't really like that. And then plus, at what was it, third episode, I believe, or maybe the second, when he does go back to Mandalore. What the hell is that spider thing? The mechanical thing with the eye that ends up capturing him, that Bo-Katan has to eventually save him from. Look, bro, this is a gripe because he gets captured by this thing, right?
Right.
She saves him. Then
Uh-huh.
eventually, at the end of the season, they go back to the planet, meet up with Mandalorians that are like already there or have been there for years since the collapse. They don't talk about this thing at all. It would have been it should have been a thing to where, like, oh shit, you encountered the mechanical spider eye thing. No, they don't talk. It never gets brought up again. If they've been on this planet for that long, it seemed like that would have been a thing. Like, oh yeah, yeah, we got to avoid that. But it was like one and done. Like, what the hell is that about?
Look, man, they introduced a lot of different characters. I think that they are trying to, showcase, and the best way to showcase them is to show a need for them, and the need comes in when your hero is down and it looks like all hope is lost. They're saved by the other person, which now you have a attachment to, an importance to, because they help save your character. I don't agree with the execution of all of it. I agree that there was some miss things to talk about. I hate that Star Wars has done that because there's so many different characters that they've introduced. I kind of like it when there was just 3 to 4 basic characters that you had that can interact with people. Now you have like you want them to say something or interact in a certain way because of all the lore and all the things that they've included uh in the new or in the story at this point. So I get the frustration of just kind of like even the simple things of, hey man, did you see that monster? That now
Yeah,
being excluded.
it just
Um,
it seemed like it was lazy writing. I mean, like another thing, like them not ever bringing up that villain ever again is like when Mando went to meet up with Bo-Katan. Bro, why is she sitting in like the throne room? She's just sitting on her throne multiple
yo,
times. You
she the
go, what? What's the
you,
excuse?
you ain't never been depressed. You just like, man, ain't nothing else to do. I'm just gonna sit here. Hey, you remember the Bill from Schoolhouse Rock? I'm just the
The
Bill.
bill.
Yeah, I'm only a Bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
Capitol Hill.
Yeah. That's how she is. There you go. That's there you go.
That's whack, bro. You just sitting in a big ass empty room, posing on your big chair. Like, when I'm depressed, dog, I watch TV or something or beat off. I'm not just sitting in the
Who
fucking.
knows? She might have finished
There were
watching a
people,
movie, you
man. It
know?
would have seemed more realistic if they would have been like, "Hey, Bo-Katan, Mandalorian is here to see you, and have her come out the room with her hair all jacked up in regular ass clothes. She's sitting there in full armor in this chair. Just come on, bro. Like, give me something, man. Make it seem realistic. It just, I don't know. But these are small things. These are small gripes. Actually, they're big gripes. But I don't want to spend the entire episode just going over the things that I didn't like. So, can we get a little positive for a second? Things that we did like from the season.
And you know what I liked? I liked Grogu's slide when
Grogu
he
slide.
slid. Yeah, when he slid to take off, to take out. Oh man, what did they? I'm going blank on his name. Moff Gideon. I don't know if you saw. He had a little
Oh yeah, yeah,
slide,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and then they took him out.
yeah,
Hey, that right there was my highlight.
yeah.
That
He was on
that
his
moment
thing.
could not that could be forgot couldn't be forgotten. Uh
Did you like his suit? He turned into Krang for a little bit of the
oh
season,
yeah. Yeah, he was Krang, Iron Man and Master Shredder.
right? Right.
Yeah.
That is one highlight for me. I did like that because he's still a kid at the end of the day, right? So it seemed like he only had two voice options. It was either yes or no. So I did like the part where they're walking through the city and he's continuously hitting the button like yes, 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 yes. Because
Yeah.
that's what a
No,
kid would do just to be annoying for no reason.
shoot. I would do that.
Yeah,
If I
right.
couldn't talk, I'd be like, yes, 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 yes. Yeah, man. So I mean, what I enjoyed about it is I really whenever I think about Star Wars, I always think about our friend Jess, um, and saying that with Star Wars, you can't just be attached to just one part of the story. They're always going to add on something. They're always going to bring something in new that will highlight or change how you see the series. So I never get hung up on it too much. I just enjoy what I enjoy, and then I'll just see what they're going to do as things evolve. Star Wars, the prequels have been elevated because of the Clone Wars, as we always bring up, and now Andor has elevated the Rogue One movie. So there's different things that they do that will just kind of upgrade or just kind of fill in or bring in a new hype for the series. But if you don't support it, then that's where the story gets left off at. If you don't support it, it will just kind of stay there. You're always going to watch it. You're going to see what's going to happen because you're Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
But I don't get hung up on it. I don't get too mad about it anymore. I just kind of watch it and, like I said, enjoy what I enjoy and kind of shake my head at what I don't like. The biggest thing that frustrates me about Star Wars is the Last Jedi. That right there is what I don't want to ever happen again. Is where you have these original characters and that help build this whole franchise, and you don't treat them right. That's where my concern is coming from. And I
Yeah.
do think they've treated um, the Mandalorian right, Bo-Katan right, Grogu right. I don't think they've gone to a place to where it doesn't make complete sense or their character is completely devoid of itself or not given a chance for the character to even have a moment to shine uh you know properly. They do give those moments and I appreciate that because what they did to Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi, man, I just still can't forgive them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah. I don't know if it's a rumor, man, but I heard that they kind of wanted to go back and uncanonize those sequels and
Great.
completely redo them.
I
And I
I
trust
doubt.
Favreau and Filoni. I mean, I would love to see them. I personally would love to see them do it. I don't know too many people that are like, oh no, those movies are great. The
Well,
consensus is everybody's kind of upset with the
yeah,
execution.
the thing is, there was a bunch of people that said they didn't really like the prequels either. But now that the kids that grew up watching the prequels are older, they're now a part of not only just fans that used to buy some of the products, they're now fans that are part of what will happen to the story as well. So I think like we can't just say there's nobody. I think there are fans of the sequels. They just don't really have a real voice yet. So I don't know if they will go back and retcon. I know they're coming out with a movie on Rey, and her starting her Jedi school or whatever it may be. But I don't know. If they do go back and retcon, I'm all for it. Like, yeah, delete that movie completely out. Like, do away with it, because that's the reason why we got what was it, the last Skywalker kind of thing. Or I can't even remember the name of the episode 9. But yeah, man, if they want to go back and start all over, I'm all for it. I don't think they'll do it, but I'm all for it.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see, man. I don't know. I think this season of the Mandalorian must have been written by the same person that wrote the Last Jedi, because I wasn't feeling it. Like I said, I had a lot of gripes, but like I said,
Yeah.
there were some good things, man. I like the cameos. How'd you feel about the cameos?
You talking about Christopher Lloyd, Jack Black, and
Absolutely.
Lizzo?
Tim Meadows was part of it as well. I like to see him. Um, Man, just like we talked about when we broke down the Super Mario movie, anything Jack Black is involved with, he kills it. I thought that was probably the most fun episode. I really enjoyed that one. Uh, I think Lizzo got a kick out of being in the show. Her performance wasn't like spectacular or anything. It
No,
seemed
no.
like it seemed like she left a little something behind, because her personality is usually a little bit more like buoyant, and she usually brings it a little bit more just in her natural life. So I don't know, maybe she was a little bit nervous, but I did like that episode. For the most part, I think
Uh,
it was the most fun I had watching any of the season.
yeah. I mean, I'm like, once again, I don't really. I'm fine with it. It didn't affect me either way. I was kind of the only way it did affect me is like my wife is a Lizzo fan, but she's not really like she's Star Wars fan, but she's like, she could take it or leave it. But I'm trying to show her like the fandom and the nerd stuff is like building up past what it used to be. So I'm like, Lizzo's a nerd, man, and I'm trying to showcase like she's a nerd, and a nerd can identify a nerd sometimes, right? So I'm
Yeah.
like, Lizzo's in here. This is gonna be big, man, and you're gonna see her post about it and be hyped up about it. She's kind of like, eh, But I, we also had Ice Cube's son in the Obi-Wan show. So I'm like, well,
Yeah.
didn't think Ice Cube's son was gonna talk to Obi-Wan. Like, he's having his last conversation with him before he fights Darth Vader. Like, you sure you want to do this? you know, that
Yeah.
that to me is like that. I I can't detach it
How much do
from
you
that
think he?
scene.
How much do you think he hates being referred to as Ice Cube's son? Like, he has his own name, and you're like
But
Ice
it's
Cube's
but
son.
it's but it's Ice Cube Jr. You know what I mean? He has his dad's same name. I can say that because if anybody's ever seen my dad, you would know I'm
Oh,
definitely
facts,
Kevin Jr.
facts.
There's nothing that can be said about it. I'll go back to my dad's where my dad's from Port Arthur. People will identify me before they even know he's around. They're like, oh, that's Kevin's son. That's Catfish's son. They know who I am. They don't refer to me as Kevin the original Junior. They're either like, oh, that's Lil Kev,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
or Kevin Part Two. So
That's the seed. That's the seed
yeah,
right there.
yeah. So anyway,
But
man.
yeah, I liked I liked that one. Episode 3 was kind of like an episode of Andor, and the only reason why I didn't like it because I loved Andor. Anybody listening to this, we've talked anytime we talk about Star Wars, talk about how Rogue One is my favorite movie, Andor is my favorite series that's come from it. But it seemed out of place, obviously, with this season of Mandalorian. So uh, I couldn't fully get into it. If the whole season would have been like that, or at least half of it, I think I would have rocked with it more. But like the little spy drama and everything involved with that, with the doctor and the officer, you know, the old officer from the Empire. I can't remember her name, but she had a great performance. I thought that episode was interesting, man. But anyway, man, before we have to get out of here, man, we gotta wrap up this episode. Want to give our bank deposit score on what we
Yeah,
thought about this thing?
let's go ahead and do that.
All right, man. What are you giving it, man? Of course, if anybody listening to our bank deposit score, we give it we rank it from 0 to 5. 0 being, man, nah, this ain't getting none of my money. 5 being, hey, you know, I love this so much, take all my money. 0 to 5 stacks, bro. What you giving it?
Man, I'm giving it 3 stacks. I feel like
3 stacks. Andre,
yeah,
3K.
3 stacks. There's things I would do with it. I mean, I think it was good, but I'm not like in love with it. I didn't go back and rewatch it, or there wasn't scenes I like thought about over and over again. The music is always on point. Um, but that's kind of how I feel, man. I don't feel like it was anything great, but I don't think anything awful about it.
The music, you touched on that. I did like the music, bruh. Ludwig Garson, I think is how you pronounce his last name, man. Always kills it as a producer. Work with our boy Donald Glover, Childish Gambino produces all of his works,
Man,
man. So he's incredible. So yeah, the music, if there's a bright spot, I'll give you that. Um my bank deposit score for this thing, man. I can't, this season in particular, I can't give it anything higher than a one stack, man, for me.
yeah, no.
1 stack. I didn't give it a 0. I think it's fair. And it's, you
Man, you
know,
must have really hated this.
it's not that I hated it, man. I just know that it could be better. Just considering the fact that the first 2 seasons were better. So I think that, I mean, it's just a lot of different things went into them missing the mark, man. But anyway, man, I know we got to go. We got things to do, but for sure, man. Thank anybody listening to this right now. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for joining us. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you can get updated when we drop in these shows. We're
Yep,
gonna
yep.
get up out of here, man. Love you, brother.
All right, you too, brother.
All right, we'll see y'all later. Peace and love.
Later. Peace.